My name is Lydia Harden. I'm 28 years old, and last night I quietly walked out of my own engagement party. I didn't scream, didn't throw a drink, didn't even let the jazz band miss a note. I just slipped out the back door of the Ward family's country club with my jacket over my arm, my heart pounding like it was trying to claw its way out of my chest. People always say you can feel the exact moment your life changes. I used to think that was dramatic nonsense. But last night, in a dim hallway lined with framed portraits of other people's perfect celebrations, my life cracked clean in half. I've always been careful with relationships, slow, observant, the type who triple checks every lock at night but forgets to trust the person sleeping beside me. My friends always teased me for it. Lydia, the lifeguard, always scanning for red flags, always preparing for emotional disasters before they happen. And then I met Lucas Ward. We matched on Hinge 2 years ago. I still remember thinking I'd been catfished. He was too handsome, too polished. He looked like someone who owned 5 colognes and actually knew how to use all of them. But he was warm, charming, kind, in a practiced sort of way, and that smile. I'd never had a man look at me the way he did on that first date, like he'd found something he didn't even realize he was looking for. I was hooked instantly. Fast, embarrassingly fast. Within months, we were spending most nights together. At 8 months, we moved into my apartment. At almost 2 years, he proposed during a hike at a scenic overlook he knew I loved. I cried. He cried. A couple nearby took photos for us. It felt cinematic. It felt real. I thought I knew who I was marrying. But last night forced me to rewrite that belief from scratch. The engagement party was hosted at the Ward family's country club. Marble floors, champagne that tasted like money. Relatives who spoke in compliments that were actually insults. 70 people, a jazz trio, a bar glimmering like a chandelier. Lucas looked perfect in his tailored navy suit. His mother shimmered in gold. His father, Adrian Ward, shook my hand like he was weighing it. He never missed a chance to belittle my solar installation business. So Lydia, he said to his friends, this is Lucas's fiancé, the one who climbs roofs for a living. A joke, a jab, a reminder. I smiled through all of it. I had learned to. But the first real crack in the night came when Danica Rowan arrived, Lucas's ex-girlfriend, the college sweetheart he dated for 4 years. Tall, glossy hair, expensive dress that looked made for her body alone. She floated in like someone accustomed to being the center of every room. I didn't know she'd be there. Why is your ex here? I whispered to Lucas when I found him near the bar. He gave me a raised brow like I'd asked why the bartender was serving drinks. My parents and her parents are friends. It would have been weird not to invite her. You couldn't warn me. It didn't matter, he said, dismissing it with a sip of champagne. It's ancient history. But ancient history doesn't look at someone the way Danica kept looking at Lucas across the room. Every time I glanced up, her eyes dipped toward him, soft and familiar. And every time Lucas wasn't exactly avoiding her gaze either. Still, I tried to shake it off. I smiled for photos. I thanked guests. I laughed at jokes I didn't hear. I pretended Adrian's introduction of me. This is Lydia. She does solar things was funny. But when I realized Lucas had been missing for 20 minutes, something inside me tightened. At first, I thought he was socializing in another room or greeting relatives. But after circling the main floor twice, I felt a quiet dread pushing me toward the long hallway near the coat check. 1 part instinct, 1 part fear. The hallway was dimly lit. Soft murmurs echoed off the walls. And then I turned the corner. That's when I saw it. Lucas, Danica, standing too close, her hand on his chest, his head bent toward hers. And then their lips met. It wasn't sloppy or drunken or accidental. It was slow, familiar, soft. A kiss between 2 people who had done it before and wanted to again. My entire body went cold. Time didn't freeze so much as it fractured. Danica didn't see me at first. Lucas did. He pulled away slightly, but not quickly. He adjusted his suit jacket expression, unreadable. Danica turned next, and she looked annoyed. Actually annoyed. Lydia, she sighed. Don't make this a big thing. I stared at them, words stuck somewhere deep in my throat. A big thing, I managed. You kissed your ex at our engagement party. Danica rolled her eyes, rolled them. It was barely a kiss, she said, touching up her lipstick like we were discussing the weather. We have history. It's not that serious. Lucas nodded like a man being inconvenienced at a grocery store. Lydia, you're overreacting. We were just talking. Talking. I remember laughing, one sharp broken sound I didn't recognize as mine. I felt something inside me close like a door shutting permanently. I didn't yell. I didn't demand answers. I didn't cry. I just shut down. And then I turned and walked away. Not fast, not dramatic, just steady, quiet, final. Behind me, Lucas called out, "Lydia, don't do this. Don't make a scene." But I didn't. I walked straight past the bar, past the band, past the glittering guests, past Adrian's confused stare. I grabbed my jacket, stepped into the cool night air, and kept walking until the country club was just a smear of lights behind me. By the time I reached my car, my phone buzzed nonstop calls, texts, notifications pouring in. "Lucas, where did you go? Lucas, answer me. Lucas, you're being ridiculous. Lucas, my dad wants to know where you disappeared to. Lucas, you're embarrassing me." That word, embarrassing. Like I was the problem. I turned my phone off and drove. No destination, just distance. Eventually, I ended up at my friend Kayla's apartment. She opened the door, saw my face, and didn't ask a single question. She just pulled me inside and held me until the numbness settled. That's when I realized I wasn't angry, not yet. I was hollow. And somewhere inside that hollowness, something new was forming. Not rage, not despair. Clarity. Tomorrow everything would begin to unravel. But that night I just let myself breathe. When I woke up on Kayla's couch the next morning, the sun was too bright, too honest. It felt like it was exposing every raw, aching part of me I hadn't figured out how to hide yet. Kayla had already left for work, but she'd set a glass of water and a folded blanket next to me, along with a handwritten note. "Didn't want to wake you. Stay as long as you need. I've got you. K." Kindness is rare when your heart feels like wet paper. I sat there for a long moment, letting the silence settle before turning my phone back on. It immediately convulsed in my hand. 47 missed calls, 23 voicemails, 61 texts. The messages from Lucas came in waves like ocean currents moving through the 5 stages of grief. Anger. "I can't believe you humiliated me last night. You made such a scene." Denial. "It wasn't even a real kiss. Stop being dramatic." Danica leaned in first. Bargaining. "Can we just talk? Please. Let's fix this. Don't throw us away over nothing." Guilt shifting. "You're blowing this out of proportion. If you trusted me, you'd understand." Desperation. "Please, Lydia. I can't lose you. My dad is furious about how you handled things. Please call me." And then there were the voicemails from Adrian, each one more condescending than the last. "Lydia, this is Adrian. I understand emotions were high yesterday, but disappearing like that was incredibly irresponsible." Another, "You owe Lucas an apology for your behavior." Another colder. "We had important guests who traveled to celebrate your engagement. You made a spectacle. This isn't how mature adults handle conflict." And yet the most telling voicemail was the last one, his voice coded in faux concern, but tight with irritation. "Lydia, call me. There are consequences to walking out on a family event like that." Consequences. The word sat sour on my tongue. I turned the phone off again. It felt radioactive in my hands. I couldn't breathe until it was silent. I couldn't think until their voices stopped echoing. I stayed in Kayla's apartment until noon, sitting on her balcony knees, to chest replaying the night over and over. The way Lucas looked at Danica, the way Danica looked back, the familiarity of their kiss, the annoyance in their eyes when I caught them. I hadn't just walked in on a moment. I'd walked in on a truth, one I had been blind to for far too long. By early afternoon, I knew what I had to do. Lucas was at work. I checked the time twice to be sure. If I was going to leave, I needed to do it now, quietly, quickly, before he could corner me into a conversation I wasn't ready for. So I texted Marcus, one of my employees. "Can you help me move a few things today? I need to leave my place." His reply came in seconds. "Be there in 45 minutes with the truck. Whatever you need, Lydia." People always tell you heartbreak reveals who loves you. Turns out it also reveals who respects you. Walking back into his apartment felt like stepping onto a stage where everyone had forgotten their lines. The air smelled the same: jasmine candles, laundry detergent, the faint hint of Lucas's cologne. But nothing felt familiar anymore. Everything looked like a lie. I stood in the doorway for a full minute before moving. My hands shook as I packed, but my mind was strangely calm, a quiet, icy kind of calm that comes after the worst part of a storm. I packed only what mattered: clothes, tools, paperwork, sentimental items, a few books, my grandmother's quilt. Marcus arrived right on time, carrying moving boxes like they weighed nothing. "You okay?" he asked softly. No, but I nodded anyway. We worked for 2 hours, neither of us talking much. Every drawer I opened felt like peeling off a layer of my old life. Every empty shelf felt like reclaiming something I didn't realize I'd lost. As we were finishing up, I walked to the kitchen island, the The same place Lucas and I always left little sticky notes for each other. Grocery lists, reminders. Love you, see you tonight. Don't forget your lunch. Good luck on the appointment. Now it was where I left the ring. My grandmother's ring. The one I'd used to propose. The one Lucas had once said made him feel chosen. I set it down gently on the marble. It glimmered under the overhead lights, a soft, defeated sort of glow. Beside it, I placed a single note in my handwriting. Goodbye kiss. Not angry, not dramatic, just final. Then I walked out. I blocked Lucas's number in the elevator. Blocked his mother. Blocked Adrian. Blocked even the unknown numbers in case they tried calling from different phones. I wasn't giving them access to me anymore. I wasn't giving them space in my head. I was done explaining why I deserved basic respect. Marcus followed behind me with the last box. As we loaded it into his truck, he said, "If you need a place to crash for a few days, I've got a spare room." I smiled, really smiled for the first time in 24 hours. Thank you. Kayla's got me for now, but thank you. Lucas is a moron, he said. I didn't disagree. That night after the boxes were unloaded into Kayla's hallway, I took a walk alone. The city lights blurred into streaks on the pavement, the air cool and clean in my lungs. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I had to shrink myself to fit into someone else's life. But freedom has its own kind of ache, a hollow one, quiet but sharp. I was halfway back to the apartment when Kayla texted me. Lucas came to the door looking for you. Red-eyed, angry, accusing. Left some letter. I taped it to your backpack. When I returned, the letter was waiting on my bag just as she said. 4 pages, front and back. His handwriting shaky, dramatic, desperate. I read 3 lines before tearing it into strips, then into smaller strips, then into confetti. I wasn't going to let his voice back into my head, not even on paper. That night I lay awake on Kayla's couch staring at the ceiling. I expected heartbreak. I expected devastation. But what I felt instead was something surprising. A small growing sense of clarity. A quiet question forming in the back of my mind. If Lucas kissed Danica last night? How long had this really been going on? And why did Adrian care more about the embarrassment than the betrayal? Something deeper was wrong. I could feel it like a bruise forming beneath the skin, and tomorrow the bruises would start to show. By Monday morning, I thought the worst was behind me. Heartbreak, humiliation, the hollowed-out feeling of packing up my life while trying not to break down. Those were all storms I thought I'd weathered already. I didn't realize there was an entirely different one forming behind me, quiet and dark, waiting for the right moment to strike. I was on a roof with my crew tightening brackets for a solar panel array on a suburban home when Marcus called up from the ground. Lydia. His voice had that uneasy wobble that tells you something isn't quite right. You might want to come down. I climbed down the ladder, gloves still on dust on my knees. When my feet hit the gravel, I saw her immediately. Danica number worse. Lucas, standing in an expensive charcoal suit in the middle of a job site, looking painfully out of place among tool belts, ladders, and dusty trucks. His hair was perfectly styled, of course. His shoes probably cost more than an entire month of my crew's groceries. And he was angry. I could feel the tension ripple through my employees. The homeowner, an older woman watering her hydrangeas, stopped mid-spray and watched with blatant curiosity. Lydia, his voice echoed in the driveway, tight and sharp. We need to talk. I didn't bother lowering my voice. I'm working. You've been ignoring my calls, he snapped. And texts, and emails, and everything. You figured out I blocked you, I replied unemotional. Impressive detective work. He flinched. I didn't care. You left without talking to me. That was necessary, I cut in. Dramatic, he finished. I felt my jaw tighten. Lucas, I saw you kissing your ex-girlfriend at our engagement party. He scoffed. Actually scoffed. It was barely a kiss. The homeowner muttered, Lord have mercy, under her breath. Lucas ran a hand through his hair. Danica and I were just catching up. It was nostalgia. History. Nothing serious. You're acting like I cheated. You did cheat. It wasn't like that. Oh, the classic cheater's anthem. He leaned closer, lowering his voice just enough to pretend he was being considerate. I just think it's a little irrational to throw away 2 years together over something you misunderstood. I misunderstood, I echoed. Right. You're better than this. He gestured at the solar panels, the trucks, my dirt-covered boots. You're being emotional, and honestly overly sensitive. You always are when you feel insecure. There it was. The script I didn't need to read to know by heart. I straightened my shoulders. Lucas, I'm not insecure. I'm done. He blinked, genuinely stunned, like the possibility of losing me had never once crossed his mind. You can't be serious. I am. His face hardened. Fine. If throwing us away makes you feel powerful, go ahead. But I was settling anyway. Marcus sucked in a breath. Even the homeowner froze. Settling, I repeated. He crossed his arms and looked me up and down. I mean, look at your life, Lydia. You climb on roofs for a living. You wear the same work boots every day. You drive that old truck. You don't exactly live a luxury lifestyle. I stared at him calm as still water. No, Lucas. You're right. He smirked, thinking he'd won something. You deserve exactly what you're getting, I said softly. And I deserve better than you. The homeowner actually clapped. Tiny, polite claps, but still. Lucas's face turned a furious shade of red. You'll regret this. That's what I'm counting on, I replied. That I never regret walking away from a man who valued me less than his past. He stormed off, leaving a trail of indignation behind him. I returned to the roof. Work felt easier after that. Breath did too. But the universe wasn't done revealing Lucas yet. That evening, back at Kayla's apartment, my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. Hi, Lydia. My name is Mina. You don't know me, but I think we need to talk. I'm Danica's girlfriend. I stared at the text so long, Kayla asked if I was reading hieroglyphics. Danica's girlfriend. Danica had a girlfriend. And she had been kissing Lucas. I replied. Okay. When and where? The next morning, we met at a small coffee shop near downtown. Mina walked in purple hair, denim jacket, no makeup eyes, still red from what I could only assume were long nights of crying, or long nights of discovering truth she never asked for. Thank you for meeting me, she said, sitting across from me. Of course. She wasted no time. She slid her phone across the table. I found messages between Lucas and Danica, months worth. I scrolled, and my stomach dropped. Hotel reservations, late-night meet-me messages, inside jokes, explicit texts, references to spending nights together. One message from Danica made my blood run cold. Once Lucas introduces me to his dad's contractor connections, launching my design firm will be easy. Lydia has all the business contacts I need. After that, we'll figure the rest out. Figure the rest out. I felt physically sick. How long, I whispered. Mina swallowed. At least 3 or 4 months, maybe longer. Danica left her iPad logged in. I wasn't snooping, notifications kept popping up. Her voice shook, but she continued. I thought you deserved to know. I would want someone to tell me. I nodded, jaw tight, throat burning. Lucas hadn't slipped. He hadn't kissed an ex by accident. He'd been cheating. Repeatedly. Intentionally. And using me the whole time. For what it's worth, Mina added, I left her this morning. I told her I knew everything. She didn't deny it. Something in my chest cracked. Not like breaking, like releasing. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. She hesitated, then said, There's more. Of course there was. Danica told her friends that Lucas is hosting some kind of freedom party this weekend. Celebration of being out of a toxic relationship. I snorted. Charming. And Danica is going as his date. Of course she is. And Mina slid one final thing across the table. It was a screenshot of the party invitation. Dancing silhouettes. Gold lettering. Finally free. Living my best life. Lucas Ward. I forwarded the invitation to Adrian without comment. No context. Just the proof. Then I put my phone face down on the table and exhaled slowly. Every lie, every manipulation, every quiet humiliation. They were finally unraveling. And this time I wasn't the one falling apart. The night of Lucas's so-called freedom party arrived faster than I expected. I didn't go. Obviously, I had more dignity than that. But I didn't need to be there. Before the night even ended, my phone lit up with messages, each update messier than the last. The first was from Senna, one of Lucas's mutual friends, who always treated me kindly. Senna, you will not believe what's happening right now at this party. Before I could even reply, a barrage of texts followed. Adrian showed up out of nowhere. He walked right onto the dance floor. He's yelling at Lucas and Danica in front of everyone. Lydia, he called Danica a parasite. He canceled Lucas's credit cards. On the spot. He told Lucas he has 2 weeks to move out of his condo. I stared at my phone, stunned unwillingly, amused equal parts, satisfied and disturbed. Adrian Ward. The man who had lectured me about being immature had marched into a nightclub and publicly detonated his son's ego. Kayla glanced over from the couch. You look like someone just told you your ex walked into a blender. I handed her my phone. She snorted. God. Wealthy people really do fight differently. But as funny as the drama was, a knot formed in my stomach. Why had Adrian cared so much? Why had he tried so hard to push me and Lucas back together? A man that controlling doesn't lose his temper publicly unless something inside him is cracking. I didn't know it then, but I was about to find out exactly how deep the rot went. The next morning, I expected silence. Instead, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again, and again, and again. Finally, curiosity won. Hello. A shaky breath. Lydia, it's Lucas. I didn't respond. He sniffed. I messed up. I know that. Please just listen. No. Please. Please. His voice broke. Everything's falling apart. My dad, he's losing it. He cut me off. He kicked me out. I don't have anywhere to stay. I closed my eyes. There it was. The real reason for his sudden remorse. Not love. Not regret. Survival. Lucas, I said calmly, you should call Danica. I did. She blocked me. The irony almost made me laugh. Goodbye, Lucas. Don't hang up. Lydia, please, I need you. I needed you too, I said, but you were kissing someone else. Then I hung up, blocked him again, this time for good. An hour later, Kayla and I were making coffee when my phone buzzed with another message, this time from my friend Raven, a business reporter who knew more about financial gossip than anyone should. Raven, hey, random question. Why are you asking about Ward Financial something going on? Ward Financial, Adrian's firm. Raven, because girl, they're under investigation, like serious investigation. My breath caught. What kind of investigation? She called me immediately. Regulatory, she said. Compliance violations. Mishandled accounts. Whispers about losing major clients. It's not public yet, but it will be. He's panicking. Panic. The puzzle pieces snapped together. Adrian offering me business connections. Adrian warning me about consequences. Adrian begging me to come back into the family narrative. Adrian walking into a nightclub to scream at his own son. He didn't care about Lucas being heartbroken. He cared about optics, a lavish engagement, a picture-perfect family, a successful future daughter-in-law with a growing business, a stable narrative for the public and the investors. Our wedding wasn't just a wedding to Adrian, it was a corporate shield. My chest tightened with anger I hadn't let myself feel yet. They weren't trying to save Lucas and me. They were trying to use me. At around 6 p.m., someone knocked on Kayla's door. Hard. Kayla froze mid-sip. No. No way. Don't open that. But the knocking came again, impatient, authoritative. I checked the peephole. My stomach dropped. Adrian Ward, standing outside my friend's apartment like some kind of Armani-wrapped apparition. Kayla whispered, "Oh, hell no. That's corporate Voldemort." I opened the door, but didn't invite him in. "Lydia," he said tightly, "we need to talk. You shouldn't be here. You sent me that party invitation. Don't pretend you didn't want me to see what my son was doing." "I sent it because I thought you should know what he was saying about me," I replied, "not to lure you into a meltdown." He clenched his jaw. I overreacted. "But my family is under strain right now, and your actions have made things substantially worse." "My actions," I repeated, stunned. "Your son cheated on me." "That is between you and Lucas," he said, waving it aside like a parking ticket. "But your decision to walk out of the engagement to behave irrationally to spread information." "Stop." I stepped closer. "I haven't said a word to anyone except my friends. Your mess is not mine." He exhaled slowly, switching tactics. "Lydia, I'd like to offer you something. Here it comes, the bribe. With my network, I could expand your business tenfold. High-end clients, corporate contracts, unlimited opportunities. In exchange, you reconsider things with Lucas." I stared. "You want me to marry your son to make your company look stable?" He didn't deny it. That told me everything. "No," I said, "absolutely not." Adrian's smile thinned into a blade. "Then let me be clearer. Ward Financial provides financing for the solar supplier your company uses. If I tell them you're a liability, my blood ran cold. Your payment terms could change. Quickly, dramatically." There it was. Bribe failed. Time for threats. "You'd risk my business," I whispered, "because your son can't keep his promises." "I'm protecting my family," he said. "And you could have been part of it. Instead, you've chosen hostility." I took a long, steady breath. "Leave, Adrian. You're making a mistake." "No, I'm finally not." I shut the door in his face. Kayla exhaled sharply. Holy hell. I leaned against the door, heart pounding. I wasn't scared, not exactly, but I felt something far sharper. Resolve. Adrian Ward had shown his hand. Lucas had shown his. Danica had shown hers. Now it was my turn. Whatever came next, I wouldn't face it backed into a corner. I'd face it standing tall, because if they thought I was the weak one in this story, they were about to learn otherwise. For the next 2 days, I waited for the blow to fall. If Adrian Ward was telling the truth, my business, my employees, my livelihood could collapse with one phone call. I checked my email constantly, my supplier's online portal, my banking dashboard. Every ping from my phone felt like a warning siren. Kayla kept telling me to stop pacing. Marcus told me he'd stand with me no matter what happened. I tried to believe both of them. But fear is loud, and Adrian's voice, calm, condescending, powerful, echoed inside it. By Monday morning, I finally forced myself to breathe again. If Adrian was going to destroy me, he would have done it already. Still, when my phone rang with a number from my main solar supplier, my stomach flipped like I'd swallowed a fistful of gravel. I answered, bracing for the worst. "Hi, Ms. Harden. We're reviewing accounts today, and we wanted to talk to you about your payment terms." There it was, the axe. My knees almost buckled. "Yes," I managed. "We've noticed your company has been steadily taking on bigger projects. Your payment history has been perfect. We'd like to expand your credit line." I froze, completely confused. "Expand." "Just to be sure," I said slowly. "There are no issues with my financing." "No issues at all," the representative laughed. "Actually, the financing partner for your supplier has been swamped with internal audits. They've backed off approving changes until their internal situation stabilizes. So you're good." Internal audits. I knew exactly what that meant. Adrian didn't have the power to threaten me anymore. His house was burning, and he didn't have time to throw sparks at mine. When I hung up, I sat on the floor, back against the wall, laughing. Not the pretty kind. The cathartic, disbelief-ridden, holy hell I survived kind. Kayla leaned out of the kitchen. "Good news." The best news, I breathed. "He can't touch me." She whooped so loudly the neighbors probably heard. Later that afternoon, my phone buzzed with a contact I didn't expect. Mina. She was calling, not texting. I answered immediately. "Everything okay?" "Oh, everything is beautifully catastrophic," she said dryly. "Draven showed up at my apartment this morning." I choked. "What, why?" "Because apparently Lucas dumped Danica last night," she said. "And she blamed him for losing everything. And now Draven wants me back, like I'm a lost puppy." I rubbed my forehead. "So Lucas and Danica imploded." "Imploded is too gentle," Mina said. "They nuked each other. Danica told Lucas she never planned to marry him. Lucas told her she was a lifeline until Lydia softened Adrian for him, whatever that means, and then Danica threw a glass at him. And Draven," he cried, she said flatly, on my doorstep. Kayla, hearing this from across the room, yelled, "Unbelievable." I lowered my voice. "What did you do?" "I shut the door in his face and told the neighbors he was selling fake perfume," she said. "I just thought you'd enjoy the update." I really, truly did. But the real twist came next. "Lucas tried calling you again, didn't he?" Mina asked. "He did," I admitted. I hung up. "Good," she said, her tone surprisingly gentle. "You don't owe him closure. You don't owe him the chance to fix a narrative he broke." We hung up and I felt lighter. Like each truth peeled another layer of guilt and shame away from my shoulders. The next major update came from Raven. She messaged me late that evening. "Raven Ward Financial is about to go public." You didn't hear it from me. But the regulators, they're circling. Clients are pulling out. Adrian's losing millions. People inside are pointing fingers. It's bad, Lydia. I stared at the message a long time. Adrian Ward had threatened to ruin my business. He had belittled me, manipulated me, tried to bribe me, tried to blackmail me. He had treated my life as currency. But in the end, he couldn't even keep control of his own. Something inside me settled. Not joy, not vengeance. Closure. Real lasting closure. 2 days later, the last loose thread tried to tie itself back to me. A text from an unknown number. "Lydia, it's me. Please don't block this one. I need to say something." I considered ignoring it, but something inside me wanted to hear the final crack. So I responded, "Say it." There was a long pause. Then, "I'm sorry." Just that. I imagined him alone, surrounded by empty bottles and disappointment, realizing the truth too late. He hadn't lost me because of a kiss. He hadn't lost me because of Danica. He lost me because he didn't value me. He lost me because he didn't respect me. He lost me because he didn't know the difference between a partner and a placeholder. I typed one final message. "I hope you learned from this, but we're done." Then I blocked the number, and this time, I didn't look back. A week later, my new apartment was finally coming together, a small, cozy space with open windows and sunlight pooling across the floors, a place that smelled like fresh paint and new beginnings. My business was steady, my friends were grounding me, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe without bracing for impact. On a quiet Thursday evening, I took my dog. Yes, I finally adopted one. His name is Orbit, and he's the neediest creature alive on a walk around the block. As we reached the corner, someone waved from the small art shop across the street. A familiar smile, warm, soft, unexpected, echoed the barista-turned-graphic designer who had helped me print new business flyers the week before. "Lydia," he called. "Orbit dragging you around again." I laughed genuinely. "Always." We talked for a few minutes. Nothing flirty, nothing heavy, just light, easy, human. But as we walked away, orbit pulling me toward home, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Possibility. Not a promise, not a rebound. A beginning. Because sometimes the world sets fire to your old life, so you can finally see what was waiting behind the smoke. Sometimes losing the wrong person clears the path to the right one. And sometimes a kiss kills a relationship. But the truth sets you free.